So this film is a personal documentary about a college student, myself, Ian Connolly, who is going to be unpacking their educational career and past life events as my college career comes to an end here in the spring of 2021. But it will also be framed within the context of the COVID-19 pandemic and how that has changed my life, how I am educated as well as others, and how that will all change with vaccines and returning to normalcy. So the COVID-19 pandemic has changed almost everybody's lives in the world in some way or another. And one of the lenses that is important to look at is education, and that of more specifically that of a college student. So for this film, there'll be interviews looking at the perspectives of both students as well as adults who are no longer in education, no longer being taught, but their lives have been affected in different ways. So it's looking at the contrast of that, and then also employing footage, looking at it in a historical context, using news footage and events to really frame the whole story. So this film is going to involve 4 characters spanning 3 different generations. 2 students, myself and Chad Larry, will be giving the perspective of a student during the pandemic, as well as what they hope to do following graduation and following the pandemic as vaccines are rolled out and there's a return to normalcy. And then my dad has the perspective of someone that retired around the time of the pandemic and how they really dealt with it. And then my grandfather, Charles, who has been up in his house in Vermont and is in a risk group for his age. So get the perspective of him and how he's been doing living in a form of isolation. When considering tone for this documentary, I was hoping to kind of relate it to 2 different films, as well as bring in my own side of a personal documentary feel, since they don't really follow that theme. But the 2 films are How to Survive a Plague, which deals with the AIDS epidemic, or pandemic, and then the pandemic doc, How to Survive an Outbreak, just given their relevance to global pandemics and how they've been dealt with in the past, and how I can talk or speak to the one that we're currently living in. And yeah. So in addressing the question, why am I the best person to be shooting this film, I think that given that this is a personal documentary, these are real issues that I'm living with daily, things that we have to get used to, as well as how I'm going to be conducting my next step in graduation in the spring of 2021 as the US and the world starts to come out of the pandemic as vaccines are being rolled out.